Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Sustaining Sustainability. I'm your host, CB Bhattacharya, and today it is my great pleasure to welcome Mark Cancilla to our program. Mark is the Vice President of Environment, Health, and Safety at PPG, and he's based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. PPG is a very large company, almost 50,000 employees, and they're present in 70 countries in the world. And today I'm going to talk to Mark about his expertise in workforce safety and how this relates to corporate sustainability. Mark, welcome to the program.
Thank you, CB, very much.
Mark, many of our listeners are likely familiar with the paint side of PPG's business, but could you give us a brief sense of the variety of industries and sectors that your business includes?
I like to quote our CEO, who often likes to say, when you look at our history, we've had a long history in automotive coatings, both for the OEM and the aftermarket. So we're known to be very large in the transportation coatings. So he likes to say, if it moves, we'll paint it. But if it doesn't move, we'll paint that too. So we do have coatings that really do go into virtually every industry, some that you might not even be aware of. Of course, we provide paint for house paints, for both interior and exterior, but we'll also provide coatings into the electronics industry for your phone, for your laptop. We'll provide coatings into various industries that produce types of machinery. Today, very proud that we're providing coatings into the medical industry for various types of equipment that are used in hospitals. We have antimicrobial coatings and biocidal coatings that are of very high importance these days. We provide coatings for the food and beverage industry. And those are in very, very high demand these days, as all of us are stocking our shelves to ensure that we're able to live through this crisis that we're all experiencing. So really, truly is anything that you could think of, and some things that you probably aren't aware of. We do supply coatings into those industries.
I can imagine that much of your company's operations must be considered essential during the current crisis. So what changes has PPG made to adapt its workforce to meet the challenges kind of introduced by the COVID-19 crisis over the past few months?
Sure. So you are correct. We have been deemed an essential industry and have been deemed essential really in every region of the world. So we have had operations open throughout the crisis from the very beginning. We do have facilities in China and one right in Wuhan. So we've really been dealing with the issues that the pandemic has created really from the earliest days. From the beginning, we really activated our crisis management team. It's a team that operates on both global and regional scale. It includes, of course, our corporate EHS organization and our security organization, and began implementing guidelines, many of which we had already within our organization, but also very much in alignment with the CDC and the WHO, ensuring that we are implementing good hygiene practices, good use of sanitization of our sites, implementing social distancing in all locations, again, first in China, then as the virus spread to South Korea and northern Italy, where we also have operations, continued the implementation of those hygiene practices, and really very quickly, I would say very proactively, got out ahead of the virus and implemented these practices really at all of our locations around the globe. And you also have to think too, we do have stores, paint stores, where we interact with consumers. So at the earliest stages, we began implementing a lot of these measures in our own stores, ensuring that we've got hand sanitizer available. When we weren't able to produce it or to procure it, we produced our own hand sanitizer in every region of the world according to formulations that had been specified by the WHO. Really, we've been implementing this around the globe. And then another key aspect is we've implemented our contact tracing process internally within PPG, making sure that not only are we keeping our people safe and healthy, but also when we do find that somebody has been exposed to the virus, that we identify those people and ensure that they're getting the proper health care that they need, but also that they're not infecting other PPG employees. So we have a daily log that we update, ensuring that we know anybody that is potentially come into contact with the virus. So it's been a very busy several months, as you can imagine.
I imagine that in this process, you must have had to make some tough decisions, so to speak, right? Like maybe temporary furloughs, maybe encouraging early retirement. What would you say are the guiding principles for how those decisions are made?
First and foremost, and we've always kept this out in front of us, is our most important asset are our people. Keeping the health and well-being of our employees as our most critical core value is absolutely the top of our priority list. And in doing so, really heavily focused on our culture across the company. We call it the PPG way. And it's really actually been amazing to see throughout the entire organization how well all of our people have come together. One of the key pillars of our PPG way, and this is one that, although the terminology, the PPG way, is relatively new, one of the key pillars, we make it happen, really has been a hallmark of PPG, my entire career, which is a long one with PPG, but much longer than that, probably dates back to the first days of our founding. So, throughout all of this, I would say that, there are obviously tough decisions that have to be made, but I don't think I've ever seen us work better together than I have in these last 3 months. And, we're there to help to make sure that we maintain our operational capability to support our customers and the communities within which we operate.
How would you say your employee base has responded to your efforts to be transparent and proactive about safety measures and community well-being? And then a second part of that question would be, why is it essential to be transparent and proactive with a view to building a more sustainable business?
Sure. Transparency, you're 100% correct, CB, is key. We're all going through this the first time. None of us have been through this type of a pandemic ever before. And moving forward with the PPG way, it's essential that everybody understands, where our mindset is, where our focus is. So yes, I am getting accustomed to doing podcasts and communications. I've done a few now, several within PPG. Our CEO actually has been doing a weekly video that has happened now for the past more than 2 months. We have communications that go out daily with regard to the key issues and actions that are going on in our management of the crisis. We have a global crisis management team that initially met twice per week. We've reduced that to once per week as the situation has continued to evolve. And then each of the regions have their own regional crisis management teams that meet on a weekly basis as well. Again, keeping everybody up to speed with regard to our approach to the virus is absolutely critical. Critical to make sure that we are all on the same page, that we're marching forward in unison. A lot of our leaders have also issued and recorded videos demonstrating, hey, we are all in this together. We're all dealing with this. I've been working from home myself now for the past 3 months. And I would say very seamlessly with regard to any effect in transparency. And in fact, I would say the tools that exist today are so spectacular that it really is as if we really had not missed a beat in terms of ensuring that we've got very good communications across the entire company. So the feedback that we're getting from the organization has been terrific. We've done a couple of surveys across the entire company to gather feedback and information to understand, what it is that we're doing well and where we could continue to improve. And I have to say the feedback has been, really great in terms of the type of response that we've seen. relative to the efforts that the entire company has undertaken to deal with in this crisis.
So, do you expect something to change as a result of this pandemic? I mean, when you think about PPG's approach to sustainability going forward, will some areas of focus require more attention than others? I mean, how do you see the landscape evolving going forward?
Yeah, well, sustainability in PPG will always play an important role in our long-term success. I'm proud to say we did implement or publish our sustainability report on time in April, as we always do, around the time of our shareholders meeting, which was done virtually. And so, the demonstration that sustainability is a critical part of how we manage the company really has not taken a backseat at all during this crisis. And in fact, I would say that the human element of sustainability, the criticality of our people and the role that they play in ensuring our long-term sustainability is heightened during this crisis. As you go through a crisis like this, you really get to magnify, where your strengths really are and how best to deploy those strengths in a situation like this to ensure that we are around for a long period of time, that we are doing the things that we can do to contribute to the environment, to contribute to the health and welfare of people around the globe. So I would say it's actually increased our focus on sustainability more so than had the pandemic not occurred. And again, it really is through the human element and that impact into our overall long-term sustainability.
So, as a company that does a lot of business to business transactions, what message would you like to share with our industry audience?
Obviously, we're hoping that we are on the backside of this virus. Certainly, we're seeing a lot of improvements, of course, in China and Korea, Europe, and even in the US, we're seeing the number of daily cases continue to decrease on a week-to-week basis. And our point here is that we really are all in this together. We're here to work together the best way we can to ensure that we're managing our path forward in bringing the economy back. And at the same time, first and foremost, keeping the health and well-being of our employees, our customers' employees, and the communities in which we operate at the top of our priority list. We've got to keep that as our most important core value. And again, together we will get through this, as has been said many times over the past several months, but we really will. But the best that we can do is to ensure that we're working together in helping to manage our way through this.
What call to action would you make to our other listeners, the general audience? What should they be thinking about? How can they use their consumer purchasing power or any other resource that they have to take action that would help make the world a more sustainable place?
And I do keep going back to this, but I would say first, make sure that they put their health and safety first. People continue to be our greatest asset, and without healthy, diverse, intelligent people, our sustainability efforts will fall short. When we look at sustainability right now, the focus on people is what is most important. And we must ensure that we're protecting the well-being of ourselves and others around us, including our coworkers, our family, our friends.
Mark Cancilla, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure as well. Thank you so much.
And this is your host, CB Bhattacharya, signing off. And I look forward to seeing you again next week for another edition of Sustaining Sustainability. This podcast is made possible by the help of my colleagues, Leslie Marshall, who's the Associate Director of the Center for Sustainable Business, and Alyssa Martinec, who is the Sustainability Coordinator of the Center for Sustainable Business. I'm your host, CB Bhattacharya, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.